Hello and welcome to UC Today. I'm Senior Editor Tom Wright and I'm delighted to be joined by William from CallTower. Thanks a lot for joining us today.
Thank you, Tom. It's a pleasure to be here and looking forward to the session today. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you. And let's actually set the scene for the session. I think it's a good place to start where customers are seeing quite a lot of challenges as they're getting ready for hybrid work at the moment. I wonder if you could just talk through some of the things you're seeing in the market.
Sure. Well, I think everything kind of started differently, right? Or kind of what we like to call the new reality that started to happen right around the pandemic when it hit, right around the beginning of 2020, depending on what part of the world you were in. I know here in North America it was pretty much right around March of 2020. And the hybrid work for a lot of organizations really just overnight just became something that was just a new reality that we had to work with. And now that it's been a few years since the pandemic hit, kind of folks are trying to get back into the workforce as far as do you go back to the office? Do you work from home? Do you have a hybrid work type of policy overall? Employees and employers are working together, in most parts, hopefully, to kind of figure out what's kind of the best environment for them. You've had some employees that are more productive working in a hybrid or working in a remote environment. You have others that can't be sitting in an office at home all day by themselves. They need that human interaction, right, and everything in between. So I think that when you start to look at organizations, it's really trying to make sure that they find that common balance of providing some flexibilities for employees, making sure that they can keep the talent that they want that's really performing well, and not really upset the apple cart. I think it really kind of comes to that. So it is a challenge really trying to figure out what exactly works best overall. And one of the things that we've seen over the last few years on that is that it also comes down to what are the necessary tools that employers are providing to employees to make sure that they can be productive and effective at their work. So that's obviously one of the new items that's really critical in any type of hybrid work environment that organizations are setting up for their employees.
Yeah, and businesses have adopted a lot of tools over the last couple of years. So I wonder if you're seeing many companies settle on more than one collaboration platform. And if so, how can you at CallTower help them manage that? Because that could get quite complicated if they're not managing that ecosystem effectively.
Yeah, it really can, right? I mean, if you start going back, several years ago, and I've been in the industry way too long to even count the years, but when you really start to look at the evolution of where it's actually come, before you would sit in the table and work with some decision makers, and it was the CIO and maybe the IT manager or the IT director, or even back in the day, you had a telecom manager that was kind of separate from the IT team that kind of separated always IT and voice as two different things. But now, it's all been merged together. And in addition to that, sitting at that table is no longer just the CIO or the IT manager or director. Now you have the chief marketing officer. You might have the VP of sales. You might have the client success manager sitting there. You might have a VP of support sitting there overall. So you have a lot of different organizations or departments within the organization that are requiring different tools and different applications to make their jobs more effective and to help grow the organization. And what we're finding is that it's not really a one size fits all, right? Marketing has different needs than account management. Account management has different needs than accounting. Accounting has different needs to support, et cetera, et cetera. So in a lot of cases, I'm not going to say it's 5 or 6 different platforms that organizations need, but usually it is more than one. And it's really about making sure that you can adapt those platforms to the specific requirements of each one of those departments. What all IT organizations are really trying to avoid today is really shadow IT, right? You don't want somebody going out there and buying a conferencing license that's not part of your ecosystem overall to make sure that you could work effectively. So it's really about trying to find what actually works, listening to what your employees and your department managers are saying that they need, and then trying to find which platforms are going to work best overall for your organization. In a lot of cases, it is multiple platforms. It might be multiple conferencing platforms. It might be multiple video ones. It might be multiple unified communication ones that you have to work with. And you have to work with organizations like CallTower that are not really single-threaded, right? I mean, our biggest thing is really making sure that we can bring multiple different platforms to customers in a hybrid environment that are going to work well for them, and we kind of do that heavy lifting for them. Let the IT organization work on being part of the organization to help grow, and let us worry about those communication needs that they need overall. So it's really about making sure that you're listening to your employees, listening to those department managers, and bringing the right solution for them so that they know that they're heard, and at the same time that you're going to bring them the best options available to make them more effective.
Yeah, and CallTower is obviously in quite a good position there because you've got a global reach with both Microsoft Teams and WebEx. So, what kind of trends are you seeing there, and what sort of benefits are you able to pass down to your customers with that global reach?
Sure. You know, we're in roughly about 150 countries that we do provide services to our customers. So pretty much all over the globe that we're able to connect to our customers and really provide to them the same end user experience, whether it's a location or an end user in China or over in Brazil or over in the UK. They're going to get that same experience overall. And we all know that Microsoft and Cisco are really kind of dominating the UCaaS market overall. And what we're able to bring to the table there is really bring options or solutions to the customers that they could look at either going in one direction or another, or they could look at going into kind of more of a hybrid mode. We have a lot of customers that are saying, hey, I'm getting ready to get rid of my premise-based solution and I'm moving over to Cisco WebEx calling or WebEx dedicated instance, or I'm moving over to Microsoft Teams. I'm not ready to do a full rip and replace on my existing system, so I want a nice transition or migration plan over the next year or 18 months. And we're able to provide that journey for that customer, right? Depending on how fast or how slow they want to go into a phased implementation, we're able to connect that to them and make sure that we give them a secure environment so that you could have a premise-based user connect to a cloud user and everything in between and still have the same benefits as the cloud user, but slowly and surely do that migration for them. You want to make sure that you're able to do it within your own network. So if we happen to have a prem-based user that we deliver a SIP trunk to, and they're all of a sudden connecting, let's say, to one of our Microsoft Teams user, it's going to stay within the CallTower network, and it's never going to touch that public switch telephone network, that PSTN call. So I think that that's very important for customers to understand, you know, where those solutions are coming and how to really integrate those. And we do that really through what we call CallTower Connect, which is really our administrative portal, which gives the ability for our customers to actually manage these different types of hybrid environments overall. So if I'm adding a user, whether it's on my prem-based solution or whether it's on my WebEx or on my Teams, I'm going to CallTower Connect to make that change, to make that telephone number active and that user active within my system. So it's really about making sure that you provide the comfortable solution, an easy to use type of platform for the administrators, and work with somebody that has the success in doing this year in and year out, working with those large complex UCaaS platforms overall.
Yeah, and you've mentioned calling a couple of times there, and I think if video was the trend a year or two ago, it's certainly cloud voice and getting voice into these platforms. That's a big trend at the moment, and there's a few ways that businesses can do this. So, what kind of trends are you seeing in that space?
You know, before the pandemic, right? I mean, it was kind of, and I always kind of laugh at this. It was we would probably get on one video call a day, and the rest were all voice calls. And now it's the complete opposite, right? Now it's if you're not on video, what's going on? Why are you not on video anymore? So it's definitely changed the way that we do business. I think overall, you know, with customers and looking at the way that they want to be effective overall. So I think video is just becoming the new common theme. You know, networks themselves, when you really start to look at broadband, whether it's somebody working in a home environment or working out of a hotel or working in an office environment, broadbands have gotten pretty stable overall. I'd say probably over the last 7 or 8 years, they've gotten a lot better than what they were in the early 2000s and even 2010 timeframe and so forth. So I think you're starting to see that collaboration of customers looking for looking for platforms like a Microsoft Teams or a Cisco WebEx that really kind of becomes an all-in-one. It might not serve all of your employees, but it's probably going to capture at least 80%. And then it's the other 20% that you want to see what else you can do to customize it overall. For example, one of the items that we work with all the time is when people want to move over to Microsoft Teams, they want different things like CRM integrations with different platforms like a ServiceNow or a Salesforce, but they don't really want it in a contact center environment, and we're able to provide those pop-ups outside of a contact center environment. Or they're looking for text messaging. They want to be able to text their customers back and forth, whether it's to an individual employee or whether it's to a group of employees, but they don't want to pay the high ticket contact center agent license. We're able to deliver that, whether it's Teams or Cisco, etc. We're able to deliver those different types of applications or features to actually work within those core platforms. And I think video is just really just now a part of what customers want to see on a daily basis. It's just kind of just a necessary item that is just part of these platforms that we're able to go ahead and deliver to our customers.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question, actually. Kind of alongside the UC piece is the huge trend of taking the contact center to the cloud and giving the agents the tools they need to work flexibly. So what kind of trends are you seeing in that space, and maybe even bringing UC and CC together?
Sure. No, it's a great intro. I didn't even know that was going to be the next question, so that's good. The ironic thing about that is we do provide those multiple UCaaS platforms, but we do the same thing on the contact center as a service. We're a great partner with Five9. So we've been selling Five9 for about 6 years overall. We're one of their top resellers on a global level. They're in the Gartner quadrant as one of the leaders. We do also have our own CallTower Cloud contact center solution that we private label, and it's a very good system that does work. It's been around for over 20 years overall, and we just keep adding more and more features and benefits to it overall. And we're seeing customers that are really coming to us for both solutions overall. Usually back in the day, it was probably like a 90-10, meaning that 90% of the time the customers were first looking at making a decision on their UCaaS and 10% on their CCaaS. And that's kind of shifted a little bit. It's now probably more 60-40. So customers are still coming saying, yeah, I need to determine my UCaaS first, but about 40% of those are now saying, well, I got to determine my CCaaS because that's really critical to where the growth is coming in for my organization. And the demand is that customers are really looking for organizations that are battle tested, that have already proven the integration between those two core platforms. We also work with NICE CX1. We do also work with Genesis as well as having integrations directly into their core platforms. So we could kind of deliver that connectivity into those platforms as well. While on Five9 and on CT Cloud Contact Center, we could do the connectivity and the licenses. But again, we're here to provide that flexibility for customers. And the trends that we're really seeing on the contact center, outside of the demand for bundling UCaaS and CCaaS together, we're seeing a lot of work with different things like interactive voice, virtual agent, so IVAs. We're seeing a lot with different things like agent assist, workforce management, and workforce automation are just kind of more of a norm, more than they were before. It was a lot more of a challenge. And these are items that probably 3-4 years ago were expensive. They're still a little expensive today, but they've gotten a little bit easier to manage for customers. And they're seeing the benefits of having those different items like an IVA that really just helps remove a lot of the workload from their agents when they're fielding calls or fielding web chats from their customers, to really focus on the core issues for their customers. And these IVAs are really kind of taking the simple items and that repetitive type of requests that come in that kind of gets a little tiresome, that now their agents don't really have to work with overall, because the IVAs are taking care of them. So when you start to see those trends, I mean, those are really good overall in the industry. I think that the contact center side has really come a long way over the past 3 years as far as really integrating these different types of features. That before, you would have a contact center solution, it would be connected, and then you would want an IVA or you would want workforce management, and you would have to go get it from an outside firm. Now a lot of these companies are now actually working and bringing it in-house. So now you're basically getting more of a one-stop shop. So I think it's going to continue to grow over the next several years. You have a big transition going from a lot of customers that had a prem-based contact center solution moving into a cloud. And don't hold me, Tom, to these numbers, but I think back prior to the pandemic, it was probably less than 10% of contact center agents overall were in the cloud, and there's approximately about 17 million active is kind of what the industry analysts say out there overall. And that number has probably grown to a little bit north of 30% over the past 2 years. So it's definitely been a big growth and a lot more moving into the cloud as well.
Okay, I've just got one more question for you. We're going to finish by looking forwards. Are you able to give us any clues about what we can expect to see from CallTower over the second half of this year? Now we've crept into H2.
Sure, sure. You know, we actually just recently finished an acquisition that we did in March of OneStream Networks out of New York, which was just a great partnership that we were able to go ahead and bring them into the Call Tower fold overall. So very excited on where we're going with the different products and solutions, really kind of bundling them together to really make sure to increase that end user experience. You know, some hard to reach areas in the world that were a little bit more of a challenge. We're now able to get to those areas sooner, and we're just continuing to really enhance our overall offerings. We recently just announced our emergency notification platform overall, which really means that you can reach out to your customers or to your employees through instant messaging, through text messaging, through email, through phone call, right? And different things like inclement weather, emergency if there happens to be a shooter on site. I mean, I know those are kind of some uncomfortable things to bring up on calls with customers, but nowadays, I mean, the way just the world's working, it's unfortunate that we have to prepare for different things like that. So for us, it's really about understanding the demands of our customers and really adding and really tying those core platforms together, adding a lot of those critical items that these core platforms are just not going to deliver on, and Call Tower is going to create them from the ground up and tie them into Call Tower Connect, that administrative portal that we have, to really make it more of a seamless integration for our customers. So a lot of things that we're working with on the product side that you're going to be seeing here coming out in the second half of 2022.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot going on, which is fantastic, and thank you for taking the time to talk us through it.
Sure, no problem. Thank you, Tom, for having us on, and look forward to the next one. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here, and thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and a share on social media, and we'll see you next time.